What is up, everybody? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, RAF ESPARZA, coming to you with another great installment of the Bullpen. I hope you're having a great day. Woo! There has been some news and some information that has been passing through the jiu-jitsu landscape. People are definitely paying attention as to what is going on in major ways, and we will be sure to talk about all those different approaches. But while we've got you here, a couple quick reminders. If you want to like and subscribe wherever you're watching, it really does mean a lot. For example, right now, if you happen to be watching on Inside BJJ, hello, I have temporary control of this channel. Now, I could do a lot of things here. I could start putting plugs for my show, but instead, I'm going to go to the man behind Inside BJJ and say hello to our good friend, Tim Freeman. Tim, how are you doing, sir?
Hey, what's going on, Raf? I am stoked to be back on the bullpen with you. So much stuff has happened in 1 week. I can't believe it. I spend every day now thinking about the things that we're going to talk about. Like, oh man, I can't wait to talk about this.
Let's be very clear. You and I am a meticulous planner. I like to always figure out what we're doing. I put up a scratch sheet. We put things well in advance, like saying like, hey, we're going to talk about this week, this week. Shit is changing on us faster than I can actually put things in stone.
Yeah. That's for certain.
Like our scratch sheet from yesterday night at 1 a.m. when I'm going to bed to this morning at 9 a.m. is a very different conversation. Without saying too much, how much are you looking at your Instagram for updates at this point now?
It's all day long. It's all day. I have to stop myself. And then I catch myself also, and I'm going to tell on myself here, going to Reddit and checking out the Reddit BJJ, because they have these gigantic chapters on CJI versus ADCC. And it's just one low quality post after another, but if you put them all together, you can get some decent information out of it. So
can I ask you, I've tried to swear off as much of BJJ Reddit as possible. Like, the reason being is every Christmas for Verbal Tap, we tried to do a, hey, give us some shout outs. We'll read some shout outs for Christmas cheer, and basically whoever you want to say something nice to. That shit would get downvoted. And I'm like, holy fuck. I can't even shout out instructors for doing good things or saying like, hey, can we just tell one of your friends that they're cool for doing something great or positive? And people are like, nope, don't need that here.
Yeah.
So I've always thought maybe Reddit isn't my thing, but I've been told every once in a while they will occasionally say something nice about me or my show or an interview that I've done. But what is the word on the streets over on Reddit right now? Because now you have piqued my interest as to what they're saying.
I mean, it's just mostly, and again, Reddit is like the community college of the internet. Like it can be good. It's got a lot of fifth-year high schoolers. You know what I mean? But overall, most people are pretty stoked for what's happening, and they're basically just calling the impending doom of the ADCC. This is more or less what the chorus of Reddit is singing right now. And then there's a small percentage that's talking about the brawl that broke out, but that's pretty much it. And then the rest of the people are salty because they didn't get promoted, and John did, and they could beat John. So it's a big ordeal.
I still very much love the fact that on Reddit, you'll see somebody post that they got a promotion, that they ended up having to create a promotion thread.
Yeah.
And God bless you if you need that. But I'm hard pressed enough to have ever put up any of my promotions. Like, I just figure it's not the page to do it, which is a wild statement to make. I know, but I have this weird thing where I try to put attention on other people if I can. And I love the fact that I would see these people go on there and go, let me get some clapter for getting a promotion. And I thought, these are the motherfuckers that are voting down my shit for Christmas cheer. And yet,
yeah, they are.
They're basically saying like me better because I have new belt. And I go, okay, I see what we're up against now. All right, good to know. So it says, We have the full complement today. Nice. I'm not quite sure. So is that I was being nice in the introduction, Egghead, or that you think that I wasn't going to be mean? Because if so, I can go back to being mean. That's not hard for me. And Walla J says, let's go, fellas. So good stuff there. Well, Tim, let's not waste time. Let's get straight to the board. And
Let's go.
I think we're going to start with what you were alluding to, because I think that is the biggest news of the day. So, yes, my friends, it does turn out that there was some major news this weekend. A fall brawl broke out over at one ADCC Open in Dallas. It's confusing because when people tell me a fight breaks out at ADCC, my thought is, what B team member is involved? And then come to find out there was a B team member, and then, of course, drama ensues. So, Tim, I'm going to play a video. I will say this. Unlike some of the other videos we've broken down before, the actual fight here is relatively short, but it did feature at least a decent punch, which is something we normally don't have.
Right. Yeah, I think you're right. This is usually usually even in jiu-jitsu fights, when they turn into fights, you don't see a decent punch. No. You know what I see? You know what I mean? But this one featured a flying Superman punch, if you will. This was a punch that required one man to leave the ground with his feet, and he landed. It was a nice hit. I gotta say, nice job, as you'll see in the video coming up here, man. It's pretty wild stuff.
And let's be very clear. We're complimenting the hit, not the rationale for it. We're not endorsing this. There's no co-signing on this. I've seen some of my friends start putting on free Kieran, and I don't know the situation well enough to say free or don't free this guy. But one of my favorite things about these kind of videos that are out of context, you see something and it looks like a sucker punch, and it looks pretty clear that maybe it's a bad thing. And then you'll see somebody say in the next sentence, you don't know the full story. And I go, motherfucker, can somebody tell me the full story? Because from the look of it, it doesn't look good.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Tim.
I agree. I got some backstory on it, though.
Not
a lot.
Okay.
Well, I just watched the match. I watched the actual match.
Okay, can you give us that context before I play the video then? Because I think that is important to note here before people see the footage that they're about to see.
Okay, so this is Jarrett Lee, and he's going up against Vince Barbosa. And I believe Barbosa is a member of the B team. And I think Jarrett in the video, I think he's in red, but I'm not positive. I might have that wrong. What happens is these guys have a match, and Barbosa is going for a leg entry, and he's trying to catch. I can't remember the position he has. It might have been like a 50-50 style position with Jarrett Lee standing. And eventually Jarrett Lee or maybe it was single X. I don't remember that part, but Jarrett Lee brings the knee of justice down and kind of ends up in a guard pass, more or less, and collects the 3 points, and then gets really defensive and kind of stalls out the rest of the match. Okay, so what led up to this is Barbosa was trying to take Jarrett Lee's back. And for ADCC rules, you got to have both hooks in, or you got to have a body triangle. And Jarrett Lee knows this. So what he did is he went flat on the ground and just pancaked his body flat and kind of pulled his arms and elbows in tight and just would like fight off the hooks. And Barbosa had about 10 seconds to try to get the hooks. He couldn't get them, and he was frustrated at Jarrett Lee's tactic. And I think he was frustrated that he got his guard passed. And so he just stepped on him at the at the end of the match. And then, you can't go stepping on dudes. That's not going to bode well with very many people. And Jarrett Lee had something to say about it. So, that's the context of what happened. Barbosa's frustrated that he felt like Jarrett Lee got the win because he stalled it out, even though Lee did pass the guard. So that's kind of where that's at.
Okay, I kind of understand that. And I'm friendly enough with Vince, so I know he's at least been to me very, very nice. And Kieran's a Canadian, so
Yeah.
at general base should be nice. So this is where the confusion lies. So what you're basically
Yeah.
painting a picture here is of competitive, everybody going back and forth within the context of it, maybe a little bit heated toward the point where at the very end, a disagreement on the competitive nature leads to this situation is kind of the picture you're painting, right?
I think so, more or less. I don't think like Jarrett Lee did anything like disrespectful. It wasn't like that. I think it was more of like, you beat me, but you kind of chicken shit beat me. You know what I mean? Like kind of like that. Like
Okay.
that's kind of how it felt. I don't know.
Again, I still don't know that context makes me go, there we go. Well, there's the answer to that.
Me neither.
So I don't know whenever people put that up. They're like, you don't know the full context. I'm like, well, now I heard what I think is more of it, and I'm still as confused as ever. Nonetheless, let's take a look at this footage and see if we can come up with a little bit more of the approach. So in this, we see the step on the back. Now, this step on the back is in particular slightly disrespectful, but you have to admire the ability to surfboard on somebody's back at the very least, just from an approach, because most people won't get that in their lives. It's the casual walk-off here that then goes into a push, which I'll be honest, if you push me, or I'm sorry, if you step on my back and you're not trying to directly crack it, I do reserve the right to push you out of bounds. And then at this point, hands in the air, and Kieran comes in with a punch. Looks like he wants to fight some of the refs. Now, here's where I think things get a little interesting. Watch the beautiful movement here, which is, yep, got my fanny pack, and goodbye, everybody. And I'm out.
Oh, he slipped right out. That dirty dog. Look at that. The refs don't even know the refs are fighting each other now.
At this point, so let's look at this again, just to kind of recap what we saw. Step on back.
So the match is over. At that point, the match was over. It had already ended, yeah.
And now that I see this again, you can kind of see Barbosa putting up his hands like he is at an Indian wedding here. And definitely about to start dancing. Kieran comes in, the punch lands, gentleman hits the floor, and he wants back up. So these gentlemen now want to get after it. The camera here doesn't quite show us the angle of it, but good news for everybody here. We do have a closer angle on this punch, and it lands pretty flush. So it's pretty solid, unlike some of the other fights or brawls that we've seen.
He took 3 people out with that punch. And did you catch the mom who lifts her daughter out of the way right at the last? Watch mom with the save, dude.
Hold on, nephew.
MVP, dog. Watch this.
Watch so you're talking the close up here, right?
No. Before the it's like right as the punch is going to take place.
Copy that. Okay, so
watch. There's a little girl sitting down.
Oh yeah, I see this now.
Look at the mom gets up. Look at this, and she's like, "Whoa, get out of there!" Her spidey sense caught into that. Here's the thing that this is how. Listen, and I gotta say this. I don't know Vince Barbosa, but people were saying a lot of nice things about him on the online. Whenever this was discussed, a lot of people said Vince is a super nice guy, totally out of character. So perhaps there's something more to the story. Okay, so I'll throw that in there. I don't know Vince personally, but it sounded like he's a pretty decent dude. However, the way it looks, he stepped on the dude, and then the first thing he does is he puts his hands up, this is what NBA players do right after they foul somebody. They put their hands up like, no foul, no foul. I didn't do nothing. And then you rewind it and you're like, oh, you mugged that guy 3 seconds ago. And now you're declaring your innocence. And he just kind of walks off. Now, the follow-up with Kieran was like, the step was disrespectful. The flying Superman punch was just like, come on, man. You stepped on his back and now you're going to punch him in the face? Like, wow. That's almost like a targeted hit right there. Not a great look. And I don't know, did Kieran get arrested for that? Did Blast posted a video of someone getting arrested and made some like allusion to Young Bucks don't know how to act, but I don't know, you know, exactly if that was just like a Tom DeBlasian kind of thing, or was
Yes,
that,
by the way, thank you for
what,
that.
did he
I'm
make
glad
this
we
up
have that
with an
description
AI
now for the
video
future.
maker?
In the future, if we refer to something, well, it's a Tom DeBlasian era, one might say. So Wallow J does come in with the information and said he did get arrested. So we're actually going to transition to that. But before we do that, Hector Nunez says they said the guy who spit on Matt Walsh was a decent dude. Listen, Hector, sure, I don't know all these situations. We're trying to present this with as much good faith as possible here. But clearly something happened. And it says, don't know if I believe it. Okay, well, that does translate nicely to our next topic, which is, and it does very easily beg this question, which is, what should happen next with Kieran? Now, according to Mo, it does look like Kieran is going to be in a little bit of trouble. Like, it doesn't look like he's going to be able to participate in ADCC events. And I think the same goes for that. I mean, just by participating, and it also means he can't coach or be in attendance is what it looks like. And it looks like Vince himself is also banned from doing any kind of competition. So
why does... Okay. Vince is different. Okay, I thought they banned the other dude. I'm like, why would they ban the guy that got... sorry about that.
The guy who took the punch. They're like, and you know what?
Yeah.
You can't even buy an ADCC ticket because you got punched in the face, dude. I don't know what happens next, but what I can tell you is the melee and the fallout from this was interesting to watch from an organizer perspective. So let's start with the fact. This happening at your event, if you're Mo, if you're the ADCC organizers, it's not great. And yeah, I think you do kind of have to create a hardline stance. So I'm not against them creating a policy for ADCC doing anything. Where things got a little weird is that Mo said he would pay the legal fees in a little bit of heated anger towards Craig and the B team. I just want to point this out. Craig is on another level of trolling. So when something bad was happening to the B team, it looked like Mo was trying to re-troll the troll. So he put up another one bites the dust. Sort of the same thing that Craig had been doing whenever they stole somebody from ADCC for the Craig Jones Invitational. Now, here's where things get murky. Craig stealing all of these people or bringing them over, I guess you should say, giving them a choice to come to the Craig Jones Invitational is one form of trolling. But this should be a clear, hey, it's better, works for them. The ADCC is in the moral right standing. And Mo saying that he's going to pay for the legal fees of the person who got punched then opened up the following question, which is, cool, why can't you pay more for the ADCC athletes? Go on. And in the rare case where they should take a W, they're taking another L. It's astounding to see that they are taking another public loss in something that they had no control over. They didn't tell anybody to go beat up B team members. They didn't even target the B team. And yet, just by making the wrong PR choices, then you have to see Mo a little bit later say, I was mad. I've calmed down now. I think that's the temperament that we're referring to, which is, hey, bud, you don't have to always have a take right in that moment. And yes, you playing Another One Bites the Dust made it seem like you had the higher ground here and that you were actually pulling one over on B team. And even saying like, hey, it looks like he might get deported. I would hope not. I don't know.
Deported. Does anybody get deported to Canada? Like, do we even deport people to Canada?
The idea is that if Kieran got involved in something and he's here on a visa, that could provide some issues. But to then say, I'll pay for the legal fees at a time when people just go, you just be handing out stuff now?
Yeah, he can't even buy orange juice. Like, he can't do anything extra. If he upgrades his value meal at McDonald's, somebody's going to be like, what? You couldn't give that to the athletes? You know, they could use a Big Mac, Mo. Yeah, he's in a rough spot, dude. I kind of wonder, though, like, do the B team guys maybe not have an incentive to even care about ADCC or what happens at ADCC? Do you think they're just going to play it fast and loose from here on out and just pick up on the residual clicks and all the cool content they generate from doing it? Or are these guys is this just a case of like one guy got heated and for whatever reason, Kieran decided, was he practicing this punch in the gym? Are we going to see some gym video of him like drilling this the night before? I don't know, but what's going on in jiu-jitsu? Like,
I don't know. There's a lot of brawls. This is the first one that we've seen in a good minute that somebody had some good form, so we're happy on that side. I don't know that Kieran did enough to merit a crazy amount of violence. It's more one really dumb decision. And to face huge repercussions as a result of that would be unfair. So I think that's why you're seeing people say free Kieran. The flip side of that is you don't want to do nothing so that this stuff keeps happening. And what is worse about the situation is now you've opened it up for interpretation of, well, remember the time when somebody pulled out a knife and nobody faced any consequences? Because now you're getting people who go, oh, now I'm going to start making equations, like equalizing what happened here and what happened here. And it's tricky. I don't know that they're the same situation, but I can tell you, if I pulled out a knife, I don't know that you would have heard the end of that one. I'm pretty sure there would be a lot of memers doing a lot of good work with being like, RAF ESPARZA thinks he's Raphael with a sigh now. Raf has got into his Ninja Turtle phase.
You're Cyrus, the leader of the Gramercy Riffs, the most powerful gang in New York City, meeting up in Van Cortlandt Park, the Midnight Summit.
I will
it's the
tell
Warriors
you,
all over again. That's what's happening.
I will tell you, this is how you'll see it drop in right now because I haven't formatted it properly. But we do have the photo of Kieran getting.
He looks like a felon.
I mean,
he looks like when Mark Wahlberg was in his tough guy stage.
Yeah, he's definitely in his fear stage here.
Yeah.
Here's what I would say. Kieran, I don't know you. I don't know the context. I don't know how heated you are. I hope you're fine. I hope everybody's okay. I would tell you this. If you're ADCC, create your policy, get in, get out. Just stop trying to dig in the dirt. And it says, I'm not sure ADCC can afford to ban athletes at this point. There's not going to be anyone left to compete. Sure. And it says money for lawyers, not for athletes.
I'm telling you. He can't buy a Big Mac. He can't buy a 5-pack of tacos at Taco Bell. He's fucked, dude. He's got to be cooking dinner at home every night of the week, or that's wasting athlete pay, dog. That's just where he's at, man.
Mo's going to be at Costco, and somebody's going to look at his cart like, do you really need all that? Really?
You can eat all that Haagen-Dazs? Pass one of those down to Gordon Ryan might need a couple of those. Gordon's got to be feeling left out. Like, talk about missing the war. This guy is like, totally
Gordon's
Mr.
definitely
irrelevant right now.
He's definitely weighing in. And it says, can't find any citations, court records, or charges online. Perhaps that's a good thing. Maybe we need like an internal jiu-jitsu court. Oh my God, Egghead, we know a guy. We can make this happen. We could settle this in our own house because you put this out there with the real world. First of all, they're going to mock us because they're going to be like, these jiu-jitsu guys, what? They want slap jitsu now? They're thinking it's combat jiu-jitsu? No. I feel like we do what Undertaker did behind the scenes in the WWE. They had Taker's Court. So we get one guy, you appoint him it, and then they have to do some weird penance that has to do some sort of dumb hazing thing. Like, I think we can make that happen so it doesn't have to go to court. So, Egghead, let's talk about that as a spinoff in the future, sir. All right. Well, that'll take us to our next topic, which is right now coming up for you guys. Adam Bradley, Andy Varela, and the Rotolos. Oh my.
Man.
Okay. Now, Andy Varela was a big question mark. He seemed to be signaling like he was going to stay at ADCC.
Yeah.
He seemed to be giving that inclination he was going there. Adam Bradley, you could see him going more to the Craig Jones Invitational just based off of what happened to him. But he accepted an invite from ADCC and then said, just kidding, I'm out 3,000. And you can't blame him. And then, of course, as we mentioned, the Rotolos announced today that they both will be taking their talents to the Thomas and Mack Center in Las Vegas. Tim, what do you make of all of these fake outs? Because now we're at the phase where fake outs are a real thing. It's not just where are you going? It's not even safe. You may switch alliances. So what make you of all of this right now?
Man, a few things. Let me see if I can not forget anything, because it's kind of insane what's happening right now. The first is, for me personally, I'm surprised that Varela made this decision. I really came away from PGF believing that Andy Varela was 100% focused on winning ADCC, and that's what he's been working so hard and so intensely for over the last 2 years, really. I think he felt like he really wanted to get 2022 back, and he was making it like a very personal, intense agenda to do that. So I did not expect him to pull out. I just figured he'd be like, no way. I'm going for this. I got too much time invested. I'm going to stay here, to the point that he also confirmed it. And not that many athletes have come out and been like, hey, by the way, guys, I'm still doing ADCC. But he actually did that. And so I thought, oh, it's a lock. Varela's still going to be at ADCC. And for me as a fan, in my head, I was like, well, they still got Varela. That's still going towards C. They got Varela. It's going to be great. And then Varela's like, nah, man, I'm out. I need that 10K. That's half of what I got from PGF just for showing up. So for me, that was like, dang, man, that's really got to take the wind out of your sails. Adam Bradley, same thing, but I just think Varela just has a little bit bigger of a pull. But then to follow up with the Rotolo brothers, like, what the and those guys were quiet. They're like doing one and doing this and doing their shit and not really like out there saying exactly what they're going to do. And now they're going to CJI. I think that if I'm Mo, it was a super duper bad weekend for me. And the other point I wanted to hit on is it's confusing to kind of know who's in ADCC right now, because nobody's going CJI to ADCC. That we haven't seen that take place. The all the fish are going one way right now, right? You're not seeing anybody go reverse direction. And if you look at the ADCC listing of, like, you know, what the brackets, or not the brackets, but what the roster looks like, it's confusing because they list people's names who are in CJI, but they just put the word invited by their name. So you don't, it's like they kind of leave it out there, out there in the open, like maybe they'll do it, maybe they won't, which is confusing as a fan when you're going to look at it. And I imagine they stare at this list. Mo probably has this list ingrained in his head right now, you know, like to the point where it's probably very, very saddening to him to see these guys drop off. I don't know exactly what they're going to do, but they need to do something. They need to either come out and say, look, man, we don't want to compete with Craig. We're all about the community. If Craig wants to do this, that's on him. Or they need to come out and like go, hey, guess what? We got the big guns. Like, we're going to freaking double down on this and like pay everybody twice as much as you. Or I don't know. They got to do something though, or they're just going to get backed into a corner, and then the community is going to do whatever they want. They'll make the decision on them. So crazy stuff. Never thought I'd see this, man.
Okay. I don't know that I've been able to clear this with you, but we actually have some live reactions. So I don't know how our team did this, but we got live reaction from the person who is updating the ADCC website. So thanks to our staff here at the Bullpen. We appreciate you, but we got direct footage and we were able to get a still shot of how they look right now. And here it is. Just, we feel very bad for the person who has to update that site because you think you might have somebody and then all of a sudden they're gone.
That's more than one kind of trouble on that too. That's woman trouble, that's job trouble, that's substance trouble. I'm just saying in that picture right there, it represents multiple kinds of trouble. And that's what ADCC has. Mo's running out of fingers to plug holes. So I don't know what he's going to do.
Phrasing.
Like,
come on.
There's a serious problem.
Don't. Let's not open that phraseology up.
You like that? Back from the mean streets.
All right, let me throw out a few things here. I'll start with Egghead, who said both Rutolos in the negative 80 kg bracket means the brothers have a 1 out of 8 chance or 12.5% chance at winning $1 million already. Correct. Good stats. I would tell you, somebody sent me a note earlier today that said, why aren't the brothers splitting squad? And I said, I think it's a divide and conquer mission. I think the two of them strategically said, hey, if you don't make it to the finals with me on the other side of the bracket, I want you to take out as many people as possible, because unlike other people who say you can't split the money, we're goddamn brothers. So try telling us we can't split the money. Like, the money's coming to us for the same cause here anyway. The one benefit that we know from the two of them is we have seen these two kids murder each other for plastic medals. So guess what they're going to do when you put $1 million and pride on the line? So if anybody's going to be in the finals and you don't have to worry about a gentleman's agreement, it's those two. So I feel A-okay with them being on opposite sides of the bracket. And if they so meet at the end, so be it. But good Lord, Tim, you did mention something and I was actually going to ask you about it, but instead I'll kind of take this one.
Yeah.
You were talking about the concept or the possibility of people just going one way, meaning from ADCC to the Craig Jones Invitational. And it got me thinking, what is the way somebody would go the reverse way? Like, how would you go from Craig Jones Invitational to ADCC? And I don't see a current pathway to doing that unless there's money under the table. Now, Craig has alluded to this a couple times and said, ooh, hey guys, don't take any money under the table. As in, some people might be getting money under the table. And it begs the question because, Craig doesn't just drop in references for no reason. So even if he's insinuating it or trying to put it on ADCC as if it was a theory, it might be more valid than not. It at least gets us wondering or thinking, are people receiving money? Now, Mo has been talked about for having charity for certain situations or certain people or certain favorites. But it begs the question, like, is he doing that for anybody else right now? Is that an actual situation that's happening? Hard to say. So I guess what I would say to you, Tim, is what is the likelihood that under the table money is happening in your opinion?
Oh, yeah. I mean, 100% it's happening, I would say. In fact, one of the rumors that I recently heard was that the fact that the under the table money was being paid got leaked out. And that's why Mo came out. And I don't know if this is true. And I'm not going in on Mo. I don't know personally. I don't know you, Mo. So I'm not trying to go in on it. This is what I heard is that that kind of leaked out. And then they're like, okay, we're actually going to give $2,500 to everybody. But it was more of like, now we got to give it to everybody because it kind of leaked out that we were giving money to these guys and those guys and that one guy over there. So, I mean, listen, that kind of stuff happens everywhere. To think that it doesn't, especially in an organization that probably runs fast and loose, and especially in startup organizations that are growing, there's a lot of things that go on and deals that get made, and you know, that's one thing. But the problem here is like there's a fundamental argument taking place, and one party's going like, hey, there's no money, I'm trying my best, and that's not exactly true, right? And so it becomes a problem, and evidently the community agrees with them. So yeah, I think there's most likely under the table money going, just by nature of the fact that people like money, and people don't like to pay taxes, and people also don't like everyone to know what's being made on everything, because it can cause problems, especially if somebody else is getting a big fat zero. So
Okay, so given that, and we don't know the full situation, so example here, Jiu-Jitsu Meme says, under the table deal, that's more obvious at this point. See, that's the hard part. It's an inference, so it's more likely that it is at play. I think the dangerous thing to say is that it is not proven, and it's hard to get people to admit, did you take money like that? Because people are like, what, me? No. This money just fell out of my pocket because I had it. I've been rich this whole time. I do jiu-jitsu as a hobby, as somebody who's always been rich. Everybody knows that. Exactly. I'm Bruce Wayneing this shit. So I think it's possible and very likely, but I don't think we can say it's confirmed at this point, because what's happening is there is a collective argument that happens, or a belief that people start taking things from what they've heard to fact. And I'm very cautious about that. But I think it is important to note, it would seem very likely that certain people would want to stay because they were incentivized to stay. So, sure. And it says, who are sticking around are New Wave or people who make no sense to add to CJI. I mean, there's a couple people left that I still think would make sense to steal on over. And we'll get to some of those people in a few, but I did want to point this out, that Mo was recently putting the offense now on Craig, and Mo was saying to Craig, hey, we don't make people sign NDAs and we disclose our pay. That's not what you guys are doing. And he was trying to push back on him like, hey, we don't make people sign NDAs. I'll tell you this much. If you are accepting under the table money, you might as well be accepting an NDA, because if you are accepting that money and you are getting under the table money, it is the same thing as an NDA. The major difference is, sure, legally, we don't have a piece of paper perhaps that says you'll say nothing, but they are kind of buying your silence. So yeah, I don't think that's the argument you want to go with if that's actually happening, Mo. And who's to say it is happening? Except for the internet, which apparently knows everything. So,
and you know, the crazy thing is, dude, is if I think that if Mo would have just come out and said, look, man, we're paying this guy this much and this person this much and these people that much, and the rest of y'all ain't getting anything yet. And that's just where it stands. We're going to try to get everybody money. These are the people that are getting paid right now. That's more palatable. I can get that down. You know what I mean? Better than I could get. There's no money for anybody except my $2 bazillion T-Mobile Arena 2-day lease and the money that I may or may not be paying under the table. It's like, come on, dude.
I saw a note here from Jiu-Jitsu Memes that says, how do I get on this show in one week? I don't know. Maybe we'll export out to guest hosts.
Under the table money. We just talked about it, fool. Under the table money. Inside BJJ, look me up. I could get you on.
I can't believe that was the easiest setup in the entire world. That, you know what, in the history of the show, there's not going to be a better call and response. But how I get on show, money, pay us off. And you know what? If you ask me, I will 100% tell you to your face, I accepted money to put on Jiu-Jitsu Memes onto this show. That would be my integrity on this show. And somebody would be like, hey, you mean somebody can just buy a spot on here? Yes, motherfucker. We're open for sponsorships. Come on this show and give us money.
We could put their dollar amount in their little nameplate, just like Jiu-Jitsu memes. $223.
People will be like, Raph, why was that person qualified to be on your show? Because they paid.
Yeah.
You know what this is? This is what rich people do at like charity auctions, right? They're like, hey, take a walk with Tom Brady, pay $15 million. And you go, okay, I'm rich. Take my $15 million. Is this for charity? And Tom Brady's like, nah, it's for my divorce, fam. So.
Right.
It says the non-version Steve Carell can get on this show that I'm trying to get on too. I mean, in time, young man. Egghead Warrior, before we move on, you did say, I bet they made a deal where they have to be on opposite sides of the bracket. And that's in reference to the Rotolos. Probably knowing them. Let's just say this, dude. And I was trying to figure out the right phraseology for this. Bradley has a case. I think he should have been Craig Jones Invitational from the get-go, just as a standpoint. What got weird is that he accepted the invite, and I was slightly bummed that he wasn't going to do Craig Jones Invitational. And then, fool you. No, he's 100% riding with Craig Jones Invitational. But then he did the additional thing of saying, you know what? I didn't like the way you guys treated me. Also, fuck you. And I thought that was so wild because then you get Mo saying like, the Sheik did not like that. So, okay. Understandable.
Did he say that?
I think he was not the Sheik, but I think he said the higher ups, which I just always assume is the Sheik. So that's an inference I made here, people. My apologies. But
sorry, I'm not trying to call you on it, but it's like, who are the higher ups that he is referring to? Like, you're right. Who is
I can't say this enough. We keep doing this whenever something bad happens with ADCC. It's like, I mean, I would, but the higher ups, the Sheik really wishes you guys would not fight at ADCC. Like, there's a lot of stuff we just don't know. And I keep saying it, but I really do feel it sounds very similar to when you go to a car dealership and they say, I got to go talk to my manager. I mean, I'm all for women's pay, but let me go see what my manager will do on the rate for this car.
Yeah.
They don't go to talk to anybody. They come back 5 minutes later. Okay, so here's what we can do. Okay? We can do women's pay equal. I can't do show money. All right. I'm going to go try it. Let me talk to him one more time because I like you guys. He says we can do 2,000. No, you know what? I'm going to throw in another 500, 2,500. Like, that's what this sounds like. So anytime they're like, ooh, he really didn't like that, I'm like, is that just Mo saying that? Like, we've heard rumors that Mo has 2 accounts where he's talked to each other. Style Jitsu has basically uncovered the fact where he's like, there was one day where Mo has 2 accounts that he uses on Discord, and it looked like he was talking to each other. And I go, I don't know enough to know that sort of stuff. But it would be pretty wild if Mo signed out of one to talk to the other one. And I think that would be great. And I love this, the higher-ups, the high table. Yeah, of course. At this point, they're all the bloodlines, sir.
No deal.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. It's the banker. He's exactly that. So that's why every time they mention it, I cannot take it seriously. Every time they mention it, it's like, well, he heard about Adam Bradley. And I was like, he should have heard about Adam Bradley 3 months ago and then invited him because then you wouldn't have this issue. Relax. We're good. We're working on our Calm app right now, Raph. All right. So that's the Adam Bradley situation. Varela, you mentioned it. You laid it out nicely. It's half of what he did already in his winnings for the PGF just to be there and be an exciting performer. A great steal. The Rotolos is the one that hurts. Here's why. We didn't even get into this, but tip of the hat to our friend Style Jitsu once again. He caught this. Cade was on Ariel Hawani's show just today. And Ariel said, how did the ADCC guys take to you doing the Craig Jones Invitational? And his response was, I haven't talked to Mo. In fact, my manager just told me that the news just broke right now. We just decided it like last night. So it goes to show that no one is safe. But when you mentioned
Wow.
what would it take, and we kind of alluded to the idea of under the table money, I just thought it would be even wilder if somebody reverted back to ADCC. Like, how wild would that be? I don't see it as a real possibility because there is no public version of incentive for them. There might be a private one, but publicly, I don't see an appeal to going back. And I feel like they're in a weird spot right now because, to me, Tim, something incredible happened, and that'll take us to our next topic, which is we knew something big was coming, but we maybe didn't know for sure it was going to be Mackenzie Dern going out of ADCC to now take on Fiona Davies. And that's a match that a lot of us really would like to see and had high anticipation for. Mackenzie Dern has obviously taken time off to go have an incredible MMA career that she's still doing and pursuing, but we've lost her in jiu-jitsu. Meanwhile, Fiona has created this incredible resume, and it's kind of one of those dream matches. So I guess the question to you now, Tim, does this or does this not give more credence to the fact that maybe Zuckerberg is actually behind all of this?
I mean, dude, yeah, it does actually. Now that you bring it up, it makes perfect sense. In the beginning, I thought that's crazy, but I mean, who better than a guy with bottomless pockets to buy into this, and a dude who's pretty shrewd in business, as the Winklevoss twins know. Like, this guy knows what's up, man. He's a gangster when it comes to the world of business. Dern coming over is a huge win for Craig, and it's not necessarily a loss for ADCC. It's not like they had Dern, but it is a little bit of a punch in the nose. It's like when the girl you were dating breaks up with you, and then she gets a new boyfriend, and he's way freaking cooler than you, and you know who they are, and you're like, damn, she's dating that dude. Like, dang, I'm a piece of trash, man. Like, that's kind of the move that they pulled by bringing Dern in for this super fight with Fiona Davies. Both Fiona and Mackenzie have similar accolades. If you actually look at their records and the things that they've done, they're both similar. I think Fiona is a little more accomplished on the jiu-jitsu side now, and I know that sounds kind of crazy, but if you stand them up next to each other, it kind of looks that way. However, Mackenzie's got a great career in mixed martial arts, and obviously she's very well known for her fights in the UFC. And I think Mackenzie she might have a win over Gabby Garcia in the gi, perhaps.
I think she does. Yes, you are correct.
I think which is not easy. So, that's a huge match, and it's a super fight. One of the things that ADCC is known for is their historic super fights. You're talking guys like Jean-Jacques versus Dean Lister. All ADCC has right now is Gordon Ryan super fights. They're going to have Gordon Ryan fight every guy in the bracket, more or less, just like load them up with super fights. Gordon Ryan versus a dozen guys or something like that, because they're losing all of their ability to have these other super fight matchups. And so I think Craig takes a playbook right out of ADCC's it takes a player right out of their book by having a nice super fight. We knew Fiona was going to have one. We just didn't know who it was going to be. So I don't know what they're going to do next. It's just like, it's kind of mind-boggling. It's hard to predict, but yeah, major pull for Craig Jones and getting Mackenzie Dern in there like that.
I want to point this out, and this comes from John, who says Dern also brings in MMA fans to watch CJI. That is a great point. And, not one that I had even really considered, because I was so caught up in the spectacle of having Dern participate, because she did announce she was doing ADCC. So I know you mentioned it wasn't like losing somebody, but it was, because to me, I thought, she was going to make her
she was okay
she was going to make her presence back at ADCC known, and seeing her back in that hunt seemed so much fun, because you thought, can she still do it? What can she still do in jiu-jitsu? Like, yeah, you spent all that time doing MMA, you're probably not really losing too much jiu-jitsu, but how much have other people caught up? And that creates a very big spectacle. So to me, I was like, that's great. But the whole purpose of this has been to entice people who come from inside that MMA world to come join us from an entertainment spectacle. And bringing her with a giant fan base is a very smart idea. So props and kudos to you, John, for that great insight there. What I would say, though, is, you know, we kidded about it and we said Mackenzie Dern would be a great matchup for Fionn. I was saying it. I was hoping it would be true, but I just thought, man, Mackenzie seems like she would stay with ADCC. And to know that even she, with a history of ADCC, could be persuaded to come this way, it begs the question, what is she thinking? What is she feeling? What is her statement about it? Because she is so non-political about this stuff. She's very much like smiles, occasional different accents, sounding sometimes. But she's nothing but professional. And I've had the chance to chat with her a couple times, and she is very good. She is the real deal in terms of behind the scenes, very nice, very personable. It makes a huge difference in this world. So I can't imagine she was one of the people who didn't necessarily tell Mo. Maybe they were anticipating it. And that's a great step for another woman in that division to get that slot. So it kind of works for everybody. And it's a big matchup that you could make for Fionn. So when they pulled her aside and they said, Fionn, come over here, you knew they had to be working on something that was good enough to bring her without a full division and that would really give her a prominent place on a card. And I thought, that's about as good as it's going to get. So yeah, Zuckerberg being the guy who just goes, shh, don't tell anybody, but you know I love her. You know it. Take my money. $3 million, no big. Like, who's going to say that? I do, I think I have a joke. Okay. So I'm going to, it's kind of a call and response here. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Tim, my question for you is as follows. It would appear that ADCC is not a Christopher Nolan fan. Do you know why?
Why is ADCC not a Christopher Nolan fan?
Because they lost their prestige. What? Oh, shit. A film with Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale callback. Take that. It's a fucking joke, so shut the fuck up. What I'm telling you is
that was a great one.
Thank you.
That was a good movie, too.
It's a great movie. What I want to say to you guys right now, before we go any further, the big thing that I have seen for people has been talking about the element of prestige, right? They keep saying, and we've done this a couple times on the show, and I don't want to spend a full segment on it, but I do want to belabor this point, which is they say, you know what? It's really going to be the prestigious event at ADCC. And yet, if you look at this list that Craig put up, look at this list.
Damn.
You are hard pressed to tell me this is not a prestigious tournament. Like, that argument has to end now. And if you are still writing with ADCC, it's not bad because it'll still, again, be a great tournament. But you cannot be in the comments section talking about this list of current competitors and telling me that they're nothing. Like, there are heavy hitters in just this division. And not only heavy hitters, but exciting individuals. Whether it comes to fruition and it's great matches, that's debatable. We don't know that yet. But you cannot, for the life of you, be in the comment section and try to convince me that these names are not compelling or that they don't bring their own elements of prestige to the table. So I want to just tell you right now, if we could put up a cemetery with a tombstone, it would say RIP Prestige as an argument, because at the very least, even if you're rooting for ADCC, you got to give it to the Craig Jones Invitational for putting together that good of a bracket. And there's still a couple spots left. That's where things are getting insane.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what feels better than prestige is having a fat bank account. That's what feels better than prestige. I tell you, there's a lot of broke jujitsu guys with prestige that would greatly and easily trade in that prestige for a few Bitcoin to put in their pocket, man.
I'm so
Yeah,
glad that you started. The way you started that sentence, it almost was a Rodney Dangerfield-esque beginning. I gotta tell you, there are a lot of people who can't eat out there from ADCC. Not so good, you know? So I got really excited
Love
about
Rodney.
that. And Egghead says the argument is now tradition versus / history. Now it's all they have left. That's true. I mean, listen, they'll always have that. And it's not going to erase what they've done. But I think, again, it's just the fear they may get surpassed in a very short amount of time. And I think the weird part is if you have the history, you should live in the confidence that you have that history. You should live in the idea that traditionally you've put on good tournaments. So even with some of these people going to a different tournament, you'll still have a just fine tournament and some epic moments and new history could be created. In fact, that is my advice to ADCC. If I'm them, if I'm really trying to, and this is 100% real, there's no jokes, this is not me shitting on them. If I'm ADCC, I would create a promo video that says, you've been here for history, watch who makes history next. And you go with that, because then you don't have to shit on Craig Jones Invitational. You're not going to beat them at trolling. You go with where your money be, which is, listen, come here for the history and see who makes history next. That's it.
I think that's the only way to do it. That is their only play at this point. Unless you're gonna call the banker and he's gonna back up the Brinks truck. But if this is a game of deal or no deal, all the high dollar briefcases, dude, you've already pulled those out. Veronica, Jessica, Claire, and Sydney, Laura, Christine, they betrayed you. They had all the 6 and 7-figure briefcases, man. You don't got much on your.
There's nothing better
plate right
than
now,
getting
man.
to like Mo's running out of briefcases now with like all the big money. So he's getting to like
the book
instead of money, it's the names of the competitors left on the deal or no deal line of briefcases, and they're just like, all right, give me that last briefcase, and it's just the model going so, there is that. Get that book, by the way. This is a good friend. Look at this. Sonoma Sessian, longtime friend of the show, wrote a book. She works for Conan O'Brien. She's great. We love her. All right, nice promo idea. Thank you. I'd like to think so too. And you know what? That one was free. I gave them that one. People are like, man, Raf, you don't do enough for ADCs. I'm like, well, I am not on the payroll, and they are welcome to pay me under the table if they want. But that was for free. That is me trying to say, guys, get your shit together. Having said that, I'll do one more quick little observation. This is not toward ADCC. It's more toward some of you guys in the comment section. If we've already killed and RIP'd Prestige, let's also start to RIP sustainability. Here's why. You guys are very concerned about the sustainability of a tournament that will already pay more than most ADCCs combined. And yet you care not about the sustainability of the athletes' lives. So if you really want to make that argument, perhaps, get on the train of caring about the sustainability that athletes have outside of ADCC. And yeah, some of them can do instructionals and seminars, but not everybody eats at the table the same way. So just saying, coming next for you, sustainability. All right, let's go to our next topic. Full disclosure here. This is more of a question I'm asking to you, Tim, because I don't know that I have it, which is, anything notable happened at Polaris?
I didn't get a chance to catch Polaris over the weekend. Had Eddie Bravo out for a seminar and just wasn't on the on top of mind. But I did see that Helena Cravar won, and she fought somebody that had just as of an interesting last name as her, which was Jessica Tortilla. But I think it's not Tortilla because there's not 2 L's in it. but it's Torttila. So yeah, that was probably about the Levi Jones was on the card. I think he lost via decision actually. So overall, Polaris does a nice job, you know, and whatever model they do, they kind of just do what they do. They don't get caught up in the drama too much of what's going on in jiu-jitsu. I think, you know, which is kind of cool. And maybe there's definitely a market for that now. Like, hey, I just want to watch some jiu-jitsu. But yeah, I didn't get a chance to catch it too much. It'll be interesting to see. Polaris is still hanging around, and I feel like, and so is EBI for that sense. And those are almost like the last year's model, and for lack of a better term, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I just mean they were an earlier iteration of jiu-jitsu promotions, and they're still here. And it'll be interesting to see not just how Polaris, but also EBI adapts to the things that are happening and changing. EBI has always paid money. In fact, the Danaher Death Squad damn near bankrupted EBI. Those guys went in there and were getting 4 subs every single time, taking home the full paychecks. Like, they got paid pretty reasonably well back then. And you're talking like some of those were like $50,000. So, you know, they've always had a model where you could make money. It's just never been the big push for it because you have to win everything in a certain way to get the money. So it kind of makes it a little bit different in terms of athlete pay. I don't know what Polaris does in terms of pay. They probably break off a little bit, I'm assuming. Maybe not. I don't know, but I would imagine they do. But it will be interesting to see in the future how organizations adapt to the fact that CJI is putting out so much money. And that bracket stacked like that is going to be the first time we've ever watched jiu-jitsu in our lifetime with a bunch of dudes where one of them is going to walk home with $1 million. So the intensity and the level of excitement and energy that you're going to see in that, you have not seen before. It's going to be something unique and different. And I think that trumps prestige every single time. So yeah, it's going to be cool stuff. Anyway, did not watch Polaris, but I bet it was great.
I'm going to be honest, for somebody who didn't watch Polaris, you still had a pretty good assessment of what was going on. So props to you, sir. A lot of people, when they didn't do the homework, will just be like, great expectations. We have a lot of great expectations in this life. You know, I had an expectation this book was going to be good, and it wasn't. Am I right? Great expectations. Well, it's about a guy, okay? And this guy, you know, he has really ambitions. That's what he's got. And the teacher's just looking at you like, I don't make enough money for you to fucking lie to me. Just read the fucking Cliff Notes. Have enough decency to read the Cliff Notes and come to my classroom, sir.
Right.
All right, let's move on to the next one. This is something that I think is, yeah, it's up there. Okay. I'm going to put a little theory out here to you guys, which is, I thought about this today, and I realized that there was a reason why Craig Jones has selected the Bulls as a jersey that they have arguably, legally, not completely ripped off, but ripped off. I think it's because his trolling is at a Michael Jordan Bulls run level. Like, I've not seen somebody hit this many W's in terms of trolling, perhaps in any form of jiu-jitsu. Like Gordon, when he would roast like Andre or try to get super fights or go after Keenan, those were nice little moments that were always based in, I can beat you. The jokes weren't always there, but the getting under the skin was. Craig is doing this, and just the thought of what Craig might do next keeps people entertained, excited, and leaves them wanting more. But this week, it took a particular turn when Craig basically blew up a car that said ADCC on it with a cartoon-like bazooka, a missile, if you would, shot it at it. And then as a result, this is the story we're being told, was shot at by a Russian drone. Now,
Wow.
I don't know how much of this is true, how much of this is pure marketing, but that line blur is enough to get you excited. And for him, at the very end of it, to just say, by the way, Craig Jones Invitational tickets go on sale on Monday at 10 a.m. And I think to myself, this dude is doing this kind of marketing just to get us to go to the dumb show. Like, what the shit? I've just never seen anything like it. And this is somebody who appreciates good marketing, good trolling, good jokes. And I have to give credit where credit is due. So the one thing I did wanted to ask you, Tim, what do you expect next from Craig? Because we've already seen an incredible amount of stuff. Where do you go from shooting a missile at a car that has in NWO letters ADCC written on it? Where do you go next?
I don't know. One thing I do know is Craig is pretty damn good, though, like you're saying, when it comes to this marketing. Maybe one way to try to figure out, because look, we knew he was overseas because we saw some posts, we saw some things. We didn't know exactly what he was doing. He showed some of it, but not this stuff. So maybe the way to kind of figure out what he's going to do next is go back and look what he's done on what's he been putting out there on social media in the last 3 weeks. And then try to figure out maybe what else was he doing that's not on the camera that he did show us. What else was he doing? Because that seems to be kind of the way that they're cutting their content. But it makes me wonder, is this like Craig being an evil genius, or does he have some group of people that he's working with? And is it all planned out? Because in order to do what they did, like when they did it, that was, I think, before all the news broke. So these things kind of had to be sorted out. And how do you know that that's going to land exactly the way that it landed? It landed really, really well. And at this point, if you're Mo, you just go home on this level. Like, you don't even try to fight him there. You just go like, good job, Craig, man. Those guys are great. Best of luck to them. I hope they do well. We can't wait for our tournament. Because you can't, if you play tit for tat, you're getting ready to lose, and you're going to lose bad. You're going to lose real bad.
I mean, there's a reason why day one I said, run your race. Don't get into the mud with them. Yeah. Just do your thing. Yeah. Do as best you can. Don't try to do it. We've seen how many fumbles have come as a result of trying to play their game. Just this week, another one bites the dust while an arrest for Kieran happens. Oh, I think I won that one. Jeez. Shit, the internet's dragging me. Like, even when you think you're winning, you're still taking some L's for no reason at all. Zero. I would say this. You're watching all this stuff with Craig, and, from a narrative or a timeline perspective, and I think you kind of alluded to this, which is on his different podcast appearances, he said he was going to go back to the Ukraine. So the footage that we see, there's a part of your brain that wonders, did they shoot this beforehand? Like, was this when he was there the last time? Did he already have it in his bag the last time? And if you really try going down that line of logic, the next question that probably pops up, I mean, especially for me, is, does that matter? Because the whole intent is just to keep you intrigued. So if you wonder what's going to happen next, you've already accomplished the goal of the marketing, which is, I want to see what's going to go on next. I want to see that next thing. And so it's just driving that interest continuously. So people who do this in the future have a high standard to follow. But having said all of that, I have called Craig in the past the Bugs Bunny of jiu-jitsu. And when that man took out a bazooka or a missile and shot it at the car, I've never felt more confident about my cartoon metaphor in my life than I did in that one particular segment. So kudos to him for doing that. And one last thing that we will do as we transition to this next topic is, this is how good Craig is firing while at the same time promoting his brand. So on here, he put up something that said, hey guys, don't worry. Tickets are still available for Who's Number 124. Get yours while you can at the link. And the note that he put on top of it was, "The king is back and tickets are available." The insinuation there is, hey, Gordon Ryan's having a hard time selling out the event that he's headlining. That doesn't even seem like you need to do that. Like, that's not even a reason to do anything necessarily, but yet at the same point, it's just like this dude saw a shot on goal and was like, we're already ahead. Let's throw that one in too. Which transitions
That's
to
high
our
level.
next one. Oh my God, that's really funny. It gets very funny for that. I'll come back to that in a second. But it says, what's going down tomorrow at Who's Number One? So, sir, do you have any observations or notes for an event that is once again headlined by King Gordon Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, listen, man, Who's Number 124 is going to be a hell of a card. It's actually a great card. And I think, and I'll talk about a couple of the matchups, but I think the bigger question for this event is, are these guys going to actually get after it? Or are they going to go like, I was preparing for ADCC or I was preparing for CJI? You're disrespecting Who's Number One every time you go out there and say that and do that. It infuriates me. It's like, you mean you came out here and fought a boring match so you could let us pay to watch you prepare for some other thing you're going to do? It's like, no, dude, we want to see you get after it now. So hopefully they'll take that approach. Having said that, it's a pretty good card top to bottom. DeAndre Corbet is going up against Ethan Krellenstein, and Corbet is a student of Souders, who is the big kind of yoga master when it comes, or Yoda master when it comes to ecological jiu-jitsu. It's a huge movement. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's creeping in everywhere. They got a lot of cool ideas. And Greg Souders, one of his main students, is DeAndre Corbet. It'll be interesting to see how he does against Krellenstein. Joseph Chin's on the card. This is a CJI guy. This is a B team guy. He's going up against Elijah Dorsey. Joseph Chin has maybe, with the Tackets and the Rotulos, maybe one of the most dynamic styles of jiu-jitsu in the game right now. If you haven't watched him, you should watch him. I'm not going to hit every matchup, but it's got Tynan is on this card against J-Rod. Tynan just got DQ'd at IBJJF Worlds in the gi, which if you're a gi player, that's the creme de la creme. That's the tournament you want to win above all other tournaments. You want that one. He got DQ'd for a boo-boo knee reap. It was baloney. And I hope, I want to see Tynan go to the dark side, man. I want to see him go rogue. I want to see AOJ have to call a sit-down meeting with him and be like, bro, you're taking this too far, man. We're going to have a prayer meeting for you, dog. Like, that's where I want to see Tynan. That's what I want to see, because I think he's going to crush. Jacob Couch is on the card against Jonatas Gracie. I think that's another matchup that's going to be very compelling. Gracie's out there a lot. He's getting a lot of tournaments in, and we know Jacob Couch has got the dog in him, man. He's part of that Daisy Fresh crew. He's always game. He's always, those Pedigo guys, they're ready to go at all times. Those guys they go to sleep with a helmet on, man. They're ready to get after it. Diego Pato is going to be on the card. He's got some great leg locks. He's got a lot of cool stuff he's doing. And then finally, we get to see King Gordon Ryan. I feel like he just fights out of the blue. It's like, you don't know he's going to be anywhere. Then, hey, in 7 days, catch me on this. And then it's kind of like that. And I don't mean any disrespect to Josh Saunders. Josh Saunders is tough. He would murder me every day of the week and twice on Sunday. So don't take it the way you're going to hear it. But do you remember when the WWE was the WWF? And they had Saturday wrestling on, or Sunday morning wrestling. And it was basically one jobber scrub after the next. You'd see Demolition beat up on some wimps. You'd see Tito Santana beat up on some wimps. You'd see Rowdy Piper beat up on some wimps. And then, you'd have like the superstar would come out and then he'd fight a guy. It'd be a pretty good match, here and there, but then he would win. You never knew when this was going to happen. You didn't know who was going to be on what fight. You're like, oh shit, Randy Macho Man Savage is fighting. That's where Gordon Ryan feels like he is right now. It's like, oh, he's just going to show up. Who's he fighting? Oh, just this guy. Like, how long has this been in the works? What's the buildup for this match? No story. No, nothing. He's just going to fight this guy. It's like, it's weird, man. It's odd that it's happening this way. I feel like maybe he doesn't even know. Or maybe it's purposely they're trying to keep his his competition schedule on the DL for some reason? Is it like a strategy to make sure he wins at ADCC? And what if it is? It's like, dude, all your competitors are leaving. I don't think he's doing his weight class, right? He's just doing the super fight. So anyway, I don't know, man. But who's number 124? It's gonna be a great card. I hope these guys really, really, really come to win, man. I hope they show up not just to be prepared for some other tournament. I hope they come to win who's number 124, man. Get some bragging rights and do the community a service by putting, you want to get paid? Put a good match on, dude. Like, have something to say. Be a freaking professional. Be a superstar. You want to get treated like a superstar? Be a superstar. That's what we need. So going to be a great card. I encourage you to watch. That's tonight, actually. I think I said tomorrow, but that's tonight.
It's right? Tomorrow, isn't it?
What's Thursday? I thought it was on Wednesday. Sorry about that.
Hold on. I see Thursday in that little top part up there, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
You can barely see it. I think it's a little bit harder for you to read, but yeah, like on Thursday, my window. 20th.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Tim, great take, man, all the way around. Especially starting off hot by being like, hey, listen, stop with the whole bullshit of, I was really saving myself for ADCC. Oh. I'm saving myself for Craig Jones Invitational. It's like, listen, guys, why are we watching this then? Let's not do that. And you could think it privately. That's fine. Think it. But you don't need to verbally explain that. Just do the best you can. We understand that. I just love when athletes start going on autopilot and they're like, really wish we could have done that one better, but I've got my mind focused on ADCC right now. This doesn't matter to me. All of you guys here don't matter to me. My opponent didn't matter to me. Just want to say, but you know what? Really happy to be here. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Like, cool.
Pay me. Yeah. yeah.
Why did I pay money on this? Why did I watch this? So anyway, you mentioned good things here. Egghead posted this up and said, holy crap, someone give Craig Jones a carrot for his next video. Don't tempt him. I've definitely said
that's spot on too.
Oh, thank you.
That Bugs Bunny ref, that's beautiful. I'm just trying to figure out who's the bad guy. Who's Elmer Fudd? Who's
I mean, it oscillates on a given day, but I do feel like his major Daffy Duck is 100% Gordon. That's just losing his shit consistently, and he's just like, look at this guy, running around, and just does his thing, and you go, yeah, this works out. And then all of a sudden you see some Acme anvil falls on Gordon's head. He's like, wow, my tummy. And he's just like, what's up, Doc? That's what you say to your steroid dealer every morning, or the guy who checks your tummy. It's a money reference. You guys are sweethearts. It's very nice of you to say. Okay, let's go to our last one here, which is the gallery itself, which I guess is a good transition back. So speaking of Craig, I would say this. It's hard to talk about the news, or at least the stuff that most people want to talk about, for anybody else right now. But I bring it up because somehow Craig is involving himself in the right ways, in the right conversations, and there are things that you're talking about as well. So this is what happened in the comment section. It was Mika in response to the Rotolos getting announced by saying he's disappointed. And then Craig Jones in the comment section saying, we still have one spot if you want it. So it does beg the question here, which is Mika very publicly via his dad made a statement that was he was going to stay with ADCC. And they thought long and hard about it. And I cautioned people originally when I said, hey guys, if you make a decision, stand by it. That's the decision you made. There's always a risk that important people or certain people may defect to the other side, and that's something you have to live with. So if the thought was it's going to be the most prestigious title, okay. If the thought was maybe I get my shot at the Rotolos and we really get to see who's the best in the world at this, well, they made a certain decision and he's allowed to be disappointed, but to act like he wasn't given an opportunity to go the other way, like, hey man, you don't really get to be disappointed. It's a big risk that came with the decision that you made. So if anything, he's just seeing the repercussions of that decision. And for Craig to even see all of that and then say, like, hey, do you want to come now? Is picture perfect, hilarious. I don't think they can come now because they've made such a public admission that is also not taking into consideration if they were given anything on the side, which many people believe they have been, and it seems to be something people have alluded to. But I would be okay with Mika coming over. I would love it. I would love for him to come over. I would welcome it. It's just when we say to people, keep your cards close to the vest, there is a reason why. Is because when he put that, just that one word, people in the comment section were like, come on, man. And they were giving it to him like, you could have made a better decision. That sucks, man. I feel for him. I don't necessarily think you have to take all that brunt of criticism, but it just shows how invested people are in seeing what they want to see, and that they knew, they're like, there's a possibility he could have been over there and we would have accepted him with open arms. But now it looks very unlikely that Mika will come over.
I think if he decided to go, we would still be like, okay, cool. He's coming too now. Like even Mika came after he said he wasn't going to come over. Like it would just be one more dude to stack up on the scale. That is, I mean, if this is a teeter-totter, Mo is like way up high and Craig is way down here at this point. Like, I don't know what's going to happen.
Let me give you the metaphor on if Mika decided to change his mind. That goes into my head, which is, you know, when you have a friend who's going to a party and they call you and they say like, hey man, is it cool if Mika comes? And they're like, yeah, go ahead and bring Mika. It's totally cool. Like that's what's happening here. If somebody like his dad or somebody, a representative for him, just said, hey, is it cool if I bring Mika back? They'd be like, absolutely, open arms, come on over this way. Because I'm now starting to think of the big reality, which is everybody's been focusing on the Craig Jones Invitational for the 16 and the 16. But no tournament exists without alternates. So even if they had somebody in mind, it is possible they bump one of those people to an alternate spot. And if you're the Craig Jones Invitational, you're definitely watching what's happening with ADCC to see who they have on their reserve list. You're definitely, if you're ADCC, looking to see who Craig Jones Invitational has on their reserve list. And anybody who's played any sort of fantasy sports knows you are looking at the waiver wires with intent every single day. But it's why it's so exciting. And it is why I have literally just every morning woken up and been like, what's happening now? They got Mackenzie Dern? Oh.
Yeah, it's wild.
That's great. Oh, Adam Bradley trashed the Sheik or some decision maker behind the scenes. You know what it is? We shouldn't even say that anymore. Adam Bradley trashed the banker of Deal or No Deal? That's wild. Yeah, right. Why would he do that? And then, of course, seeing the Rotolos come in this morning is just the kiss at the top of it. I'm going to go through and double check to see if there were any other things. But yes, I did see some of you guys coming in and putting in comments in our section. That's the one. I was like, I know there's something I needed to have my memory jogged. There was one other piece of news that did not slip by me, but that I forgot to put into this. So if you'll give me a second here, Tim, to go ahead and put this and load it up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to plug your stuff, and then we'll come back to the board here in a second. So feel free to tell people where they can find you, sir.
Hey, you can find me at Inside BJJ on all of your favorite social media. We didn't get a podcast in last week. I think our last show was with Jet Thompson, but we got some stuff lined up for next week. So make sure you check us out. If you're out in Stockton, you can check out my 10th Planet Academy out there, 10th Planet Stockton. And of course, if you're in Nashville, please come by and visit us at 10th Planet Nashville. You can get more information on that by going to 10pnashville.com. yeah, man, super excited for everything that's going on. And I'm looking forward to seeing where CJI goes. And next steps, I think for them is they're going to have to start revealing what their event is going to look like. I did see a picture of the pit that was like a rendering. Obviously, it wasn't a real one. And I thought that was kind of cool. It would be neat to kind of start seeing more digital assets to get a idea for what the look and feel of this whole thing is going to be like. They really haven't done much beyond, you know, the Instagram releases that they're doing with Craig and him blowing stuff up, and then, you know, their posts and stuff, which, you know, kudos to them. They're doing pretty damn good at just doing that. So that's some pretty amazing stuff. Anytime you're ready, Raph, you could jump in and cut me
Oh
off.
no, I'm
I'll
good.
just keep
You
on.
were listen.
Okay, yeah,
You
yeah.
were plugging all your shit perfectly. I didn't
All
want
right.
to step on your toes there, but great stuff. I did want to say the last gallery aspect that I forgot to preload was, you know, it's always great when one of our own has an accomplishment that is very cool here. So big congratulations are in order to our very own Tim Freeman here. Tim, congratulations. By the look of it, it seems you added some accessories, maybe a new belt to your repertoire here, sir. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, man. So, you know, I've been a black belt in the gi since 2016. I started training in 2005 and put a lot of time into it. I'm not super great at jujitsu, in my opinion, especially not, especially when you start getting old. You're like, oh my god. But you know, I trained a long time. I knew Eddie from the jujitsu community for quite a while, and eventually there was an opportunity for me to open a 10th Planet out in Stockton, and I came into 10th Planet as a black belt in the gi. And Eddie basically said the way they do it is like, well, you're a brown belt in 10th Planet, and don't be in a rush because it's going to take you a while. And my philosophy was like 100%. I do not want to be in a rush. I want to do right by 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu. I want to do right by Eddie Bravo. I want to build an army of 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu practitioners, no-gi grapplers. And that's pretty much what I set out to do and what I did. I did not foresee myself opening another 10th Planet out in Nashville, but you know, 2020 had a lot in store for everybody, and I squeezed that bitch for everything I could. And so I came out to Nashville and opened up a 10th Planet out here. And we've been here going on 3 years now. And man, I think I've been a brown belt with 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu for going on 7 years, a little over 6 years. So yeah, Eddie came out this Saturday. I did not know he was going to promote me, to be honest with you. We've never discussed it. I've never asked him about it beyond that initial conversation. I'm just very old school. Like, you know, you get it when you get it, just shut up and train. And that's pretty much the approach that I took. And he kind of swerved on me. We had a conversation the night before, and he's such a master troll on every level. Eddie's so good. You're literally in the presence of greatness when you're talking to this guy, because you never can quite figure out if he's playing you for an angle or not. And he's a very sincere, sweet guy at the same time. But we had a little conversation, and I was like, yeah, okay, well, that gives me not that much clarity on things, but enough clarity that it's probably not going to happen anytime soon. And then on Saturday, he pulled it out of the backpack and pulled out the black exoskeleton rash guard that you can only get from him. He won't even mail one to me. He gave me a medium, which I'm not a medium, man. I need an XL or a large at least, dude. And I'm like, Eddie, can I get like, he's like, I don't even put these in the mail, dog. You got to come to HQ to get one of these. So it's a, man, I can't believe I got a black belt from Eddie Bravo. I swear to God, I really can't believe it. I'm very grateful for it and appreciative of it. So that's my second black belt in jiu-jitsu. And I got to be real, man. My goal was to get a blue belt when I started training. I had no idea I was going to get hooked on jiu-jitsu, and I was terrible, like garbage, terrible garbage, worst white belt of all time. And I, you know, it really is true. If you just keep going, man, you that's who's good, the people that are left. So very grateful to Eddie and everything he's done for me. He's given me a lot of opportunities, and I've tried at every step of the way to do right by those opportunities. So one of the reasons I'm here right now. So really grateful for him, and it's an honor to be a black belt 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu. It's an honor to get it from Eddie, 100%. So, and that was very sweet of you. Thank you, Raf. That was very nice of you to do that. Thank you.
Well, of course, man. I mean, listen, dude, it is rare that somebody goes the extra mile to get it in 2 different disciplines. So to get it in gi and then get it in no gi, most people are pretty content. Like if you put a black belt on me in one of those regions, I'm pretty sure I just go like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? Like I'm hoping that I, in my time, just exhaust people where they give the honorary doctorate kind of black belts where they're like, that's not like a real black belt, but like he spoke at a graduation one day.
Under the table.
We gave him that. Under the table. Is the right
under the table money, Raf. I have 2 degrees on my black belt in the gi. I can do this for you. We can make this happen.
But you know what the nice part is I've gotten to the point where I have grown with so many people over the years that I know for sure that my odds increase by the day just from exhausting somebody where they're going to be like, oh, fuck, fine, here, have it. Like, not from any real talent, just from like, you're around, fine. So I've just had an appreciation for those who do it both ways for the gi and the no gi side, because it's a good ambitious goal to have, but it's even better when it happens unexpectedly just based on the work that you've done. So I wanted to make sure that our viewers know that we aren't just shits and giggles here and good takes. It is always based in a love of the sport. So once we finish these shows, we go back to our worlds where you're an instructor, you're a student, you're a practitioner, and that never ends. So I wanted to give you your due props, sir. So congratulations on that, man.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Of course. All right, man. I'm going to close this up and I'll say bye to you off air. But Tim Freeman, everybody, the esteemed and the now well-decorated 2 times over. It's like champ sort of stuff. You know what I mean? Like black belt sort of stuff. So congratulations to you, sir.
Thanks, man.
All right, you guys. That's pretty much going to do it for us. Your reminders as follows. You can catch me here at the Grappling Hour basically every single week on multiple formats. You can see my interviews, and if you want to see those interviews 30 days before anybody else, you can head on over to patreon.com/Grappling Hour. You'll see my interviews for just $5 a month, 30 days before anybody else. And right now, we've got some good ones. We've got Eddie Bernal, friend of the show, local fighter, gives me the exclusive on his retirement. We also recently talked with our good friend Ryan Aiken, who told me how he came to going with ADCC over the Craig Jones Invitational. It's a really good story. And we get into his EBI absolute win, which was very fun to talk with him about. Last couple things, you can also check us on out at rafesparza.com/merch if you guys want to buy some of the hoodies or the t-shirts. All that money goes directly back into the show, and it is majorly appreciated. So thank you all for your support on that. Last couple reminders on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. You can check out our podcasts. We are now putting up more of our content on there. So we've got some audio episodes that are going up daily right now. So be on the lookout for that. And if you guys like, comment, and subscribe, that really does help the show. So if you haven't figured out what you wanted to comment on now, I'm going to ask you in the comment section to tell us what you think Craig will do next for his marketing. Because at this point, we're getting in the like Fast and the Furious plot territory. Like this dude's going to go into space soon to promote Craig Jones Invitational. I think that's the only where it's supposed to go. And last but not least, follow us on the Discord at Grappling Hour. Ladies and gents, that's going to do it for us here at the Bullpen. Thank you so much. Check us out every Wednesday. We will be back next week. Lord knows what's going to happen in that time. But in the meantime, we appreciate you guys. It has been a great day for grappling. We will see you back on the mats.